She humiliated them, the janitor and his little girl, in front of the entire company. But months later, when her world collapsed, they became the only reason she's still alive. She humiliated them, the janitor and his little girl, in front of the entire company. But months later, when her world collapsed, they became the only reason she's still alive. One rainy evening, while hurrying to a board meeting, Victoria saw Daniel, the janitor, cleaning the lobby floor. Next to him sat his 8-year-old daughter, Emily, coloring quietly in a notebook. Victoria's heels clicked against the tiles as she stopped, glaring at them. "Is this a daycare or a company?" she snapped. Daniel stammered, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I couldn't find anyone to watch her tonight." But before he could explain further, she cut him off. "Excuses. This is unacceptable. If I see her here again, you're out of a job. Do you understand?" Her voice echoed in the lobby. Emily lowered her eyes, clutching her notebook tighter. Daniel simply nodded, swallowing his pride. The other employees looked away, afraid to speak up. For them, it was just another day of the CEO's. What Victoria didn't know was that Daniel wasn't just lazy or irresponsible. He was a single father. His wife had passed away from cancer years ago, leaving him to raise Emily alone. Every shift he worked, scrubbing floors, emptying bins, was for her. Emily was the light in his life. Despite the poverty, she never complained. She carried hope and innocence wherever she went, even in the cold marble halls of the company that looked down on her father. And even after the humiliation, she whispered to him that night, "Don't worry, Daddy. Maybe one day she'll be nice. Maybe she just needs a miracle too." Cruelty. Months later, on a bitter winter night, Victoria left the office late. The building was empty, her phone buzzing with endless unread emails. Success surrounded her, yet she had no one waiting at home. Her wealth had bought her power, but also loneliness. As she crossed the icy pavement, pain shot through her chest. She gasped for air. Her knees buckled. She collapsed onto the cold ground. People always said Victoria was untouchable, but in that moment, she was just a frightened woman, helpless, invisible, dying. And no one was there, except Daniel and Emily. They were walking home after his night shift, when Emily spotted her. "Daddy, look, it's the lady." Daniel rushed to her side. She was pale, struggling to breathe. Emily quickly pulled out the old flip phone her father had given her and dialed emergency services, her voice steady despite the panic. Daniel pressed his jacket beneath Victoria's head, whispering, "Stay with us. Help is coming." Emily held Victoria's trembling hand and whispered, "Don't be scared. You're going to be okay. Just believe." Minutes later, the ambulance arrived. Doctors later said that without Daniel's quick response and Emily's call, Victoria might not have survived the heart attack. When she woke in the hospital bed, weak but alive, the first faces she saw weren't her high-paid assistants, not her board members, not even family, but the janitor she had humiliated and his little girl. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time in decades, the CEO, who never cried, broke down. Weeks later, Victoria returned to the office, but she was no longer the same woman. She called Daniel and Emily to her office. Nervous, Daniel stood by the door, expecting anger again. But instead, Victoria walked toward them, her voice trembling. "I yelled at you. I humiliated you. And yet you saved me. I don't deserve your kindness. But because of you, I'm still alive. Thank you." Emily smiled shyly, and Daniel bowed his head. That day, Victoria didn't just thank them. She rewrote their future. She gave Daniel a promotion, tripled his salary, and arranged for Emily's education to be fully funded until college. She made sure they would never struggle again. But Morthy, life has a way of humbling us. The people you look down on may one day be the ones who lift you up. Respect everyone, not for what they have, but for who they are. Because sometimes the janitor you ignore and the child you dismiss might just be your miracle in disguise. And money, she gave them respect. For the first time, she treated them like family.